Oh, by the way, just for funny, I have a bunch of makeup here I put on neck, and the Zoom started. I was like, oh my God, I have no lipstick. I'm also a salon.
That's really funny. Yeah, I think maybe we just officially start, and let me welcome the three of you, Maggie, Mary, and Thomas, very, very, warmly, but also everyone out there to today's online discussion, business survival skills and how to rethink business for the future. Again, we have more than 800 participants and registrations today from interior designers. I think also from, some other brands in our field, from press. And it shows one more time how important it is to really stick together in this time. And I've learned, being new, like I think I can't say new anymore, like for 5 years now in this industry, that this industry is really extraordinary. And it shows in times like that how incredible it is that we all stick together and that we really, protect the trade and really try to be there for each other. So coming back to, and then I wanted to say, next Thursday also, we're going to do a webinar again. The topic will be around, how to set up a contract and how to avoid that, your client shops behind your back. I also have my panelists already, so I'm really excited. So Zoom in and register next week. So coming back to today, with me today.
Who's on that? I feel like I can always talk to people about contracts.
Okay, so next week it's going to be Paloma Contreras, Brian McCarthy, and Will Cooper from Ash NYC. Okay. So going to be a great group. But coming back to today, Mary, I really have three exceptional people with me here, and I wanted to introduce you and share also, some of your rooms that I scraped your website before. I hope that is okay. But I'm really excited to show you. And again, I start in alphabetical order, just to be super fair. And let's start with Maggie. Maggie Griffin is the owner and founder of Maggie Griffin Design and the powerhouse in Gainesville in Atlanta. Her work is marked by playful patterns, colorful fabrics, and Southern charm. Maggie insists that she gets just as excited about a ground-up new build as she does a fun lamp pillow artwork styling day right before the party is hosted. Maggie, it's really wonderful to have you, and thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Then we have Mary. Mary's work has been published, by pretty much every shelter magazine, at least I know. But we all know her also from The Million Decorators and Property Envy series. She's consistently ranked as one of House Beautiful's top 100 designers and has a beautiful, if I may add that word beautiful, collections with Schumacher. And if you don't know her book, go and buy it. It's really, really beautiful. Mary, it's great to have you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
And then Thomas, you would normally think that being a D100 designer is already a full-time job, but Thomas also has a rug collection with Patterson Phil Martin, a furniture collection with Century, a collection with Visual Comfort, with Waterworks, and I'm sure, Thomas, I'm sorry, I have forgotten a couple. He also runs the interior design store, Aero Studios, which is, you really need to check it out, and has several books published. Thomas, great to have you.
So nice to be here. Thanks. Thank you.
So, and let me really quickly introduce myself. I'm Benni Frowein. I'm Schumacher's president. And I wanted to, just tell everyone out there, how wonderful it was to get everybody's feedback over the last week and the ideas on Instagram. Please keep them coming. Tag all of us on the panel, post us, the more people know from our community that we do that, the more people can participate next week. And I think that would be a wonderful thing. I hope you can still hear me because my picture is frozen. I just realized my internet is kind of spotty. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
It's not frozen to me.
Oh, okay, perfect. Then it's just frozen on my phone. Yeah, so I think, shall we start? I suggest we just do, a 30-minute panel on questions that we've prepared. And then everyone has a Q&A button on their Zoom screen. So if you enter your Q&A or your questions in there, you know, we're gonna read them. Normally we can't read all of them, but we try and do like a quick question and answer game at the end. Shall we start? Maggie, maybe we start with you again in alphabetical order. Why not? Why not if we can? I'm really excited to hear, you know, where we are catching you today. You know, has this become, and where we are catching you, has this become your favorite working space during the lockdown?
Yeah, so right now I'm at my studio here in Gainesville, Georgia, and this is my office. I will admit I cleaned up for you guys, so it never looks like this. It usually looks like a bomb went off. There's fabric everywhere and plans everywhere. But we're kind of taking turns working from here right now while everyone's keeping their health, you know, as a priority. So we have 8 girls who are here kind of in and out. So that's where I am today. I'm here at my office.
Fantastic. And I assume like it's still your favorite working space. You know, you wouldn't choose like going home now.
Oh, no, there's no work to be done at home with 2 children there.
Mary, where are we catching you? It looks beautiful.
It's just a corner of one of my rooms. I'm at home. Although my office is super close, so I do go sit there too, but I actually like to I'm one of those weird people. Other than all the tragedy and horribleness, I kind of like the quarantine. I like being alone. I like spending time on the computer. I'm not minding that aspect of it. So I'm actually just home with working things out on the computer and doing some kind of scheming things for new jobs, which I'm looking for inspiration with books and things that I have here and surfing the internet. So I'm kind of having a good time with that aspect of it.
Good to hear. Thomas, how are you
that's
coping?
That. Ta-da!
Thomas, where are we catching you today?
I'm in the library, in my office off the library room, and mostly we work over here. I work in the studio downstairs a lot, and we've been enjoying it too, in a way, the time at home, and I've just you know, really kind of enjoyed the time to be using the library and using the studio, and I don't know, I feel like sometimes the meetings that we have with the staff that are really concentrated and really productive. I think it's been great.
Great. Okay. So, you know, when I prepared the questions, I was wondering, you know, how are we going to climb this steep mountain? You know, like how to rethink the future is such a big word, and you know, and then, you know, people come up with the craziest scenarios. So I thought like we chop that mountain a little up, and maybe we can, you know, put a base camp in between and say, you know, maybe we can start, you know, just like taking the first, you know, day of the trip and look into short term. I would love to hear, Mary, and maybe you want to start with that. You know, everybody now speaks about reopening, and with your experience, you know, what do you think is the most important thing you think of as an interior designer when you think about reopening? Is that your team? Is that your workrooms? Is it like your clients? Like, what do you think is now the most important thing to focus on?
In terms of reopening, I think that has to do with the people that work for me, that I'm around, because we do so much discussion and communication with clients that aren't here anyway. I already, you know, I have a big job in Palm Beach or something in the Hamptons. Lots of the work we do is being on the computer, sending things, sending samples, but sending a lot that is digital. So a lot of that is already virtual, and I don't have to be in their presence a lot. So I'd have to say it really is the workroom, face-to-face, anything that involves really seeing the actual material in person for approval and fabrication. And you know, when you're shopping all over the world, if you're shopping virtually, you're not seeing it anyway. You're trying to, you're having things shipped and sent, but it still uses the postal service, and you're still asking for it through the internet. So I'd have to say it has to do with the people. I mean, being able to be with people and exchanging in person with them. So I think it's really that kind of like the interface between fabricators and the people that work for you, and where you actually have to see them. You have to see it, and you have to approve things.
Mm-hmm.
Other than
Very
all the other aspects, which are kind of virtual anyway. Can you not hear me?
No, we can perfectly hear you. We can perfectly hear you. No, I think it's very interesting, Mary. Thank you. Thomas, what do you think is now the most important thing, you know, when you think about reopening?
It's really, I mean, it is sort of, it's in a way similar, it's the staff and the store and the design staff and the architecture staff and us all being together and how we'll work that out. And I don't know, with lots of different thoughts, maybe staggering the amount of people on different days. I mean, who knows when this actually happens too, but you know, we've been doing a lot digitally and a lot in our meetings and accomplishing a lot and sending drawings back and forth and marking them up and sending them back, all of those kinds of things. It's happening, and we've had client meetings, but at a certain point you still need to, I mean, I personally am not a big online shopper of things for clients. I have to see everything. I won't buy a table that I don't see, you know, so, you know, somehow we do. And, it's that, and it is workrooms and things like that, or job sites. A lot of the construction sites are just starting to open back up for us, but so, you know, the real world is and being in meetings and stuff is really important, but I think that our first consideration is going to be the group of us all together and some of the important and you know, important vendors and how we connect with them again. So
we lost Maggie, I think, for a second, so I'm going to ask her the same question in a minute when she's back on. There she's joining. Hey, great to have you again, Maggie. Hi, you're on mute. Thomas was just, you know, you know, had just finished his answer. So maybe just like go right on with you. What do you think, like, what is for you the most important part now, like thinking about reopening, that you think of and that you would also advise other designers to think of?
You know, one word that comes to mind right now for us is just kind of practicing some patience with the process, because we're kind of, you know, with some curveballs that we've been thrown. Everyone, lead times are different. ETAs on projects, you know, are changing daily for us. And so just kind of keeping our clients in the loop on those things and just practicing patience with us while we figure these new things out, and kind of them being patient while we learn on the best way to keep serving them. Right now, you know, we do a lot, like Mary was saying, too, digitally. And so it's a lot of that is already being sent to our clients. And I miss that kind of in-person interaction that we normally have. But with us just learning, you know, week to week about new things that are maybe not available right now, and we're not quite sure when they will be, for our clients, is just keeping them up to date on that and when those things will be back in stock, or maybe we can offer an alternative.
Yeah. So what the three of you say basically is, you know, get your so for the reopening, you know, get your team back together, can really like plan this out, and at the same time, you know, have your ducks in a row with all the ongoing projects, that you know your ETAs and that you know what is in stock and what's not, so that you know, you can get it all to your workroom as soon as they reopen, right? Kind of like what I'm understanding. That's very interesting. You know, like, I don't know whether that happened to one of you, but what would you suggest interior designers whose client have said like, oh, you know, I rather wait, or like I rather hit the pause button? Like, what do you think is the best way to get in touch with them again, now that we like hopefully see a light at the end of the tunnel? Like, how would you do that? Thomas, maybe we start with you.
Do you mean because they want to stop everything, or just to sort of get the energy of the project going again?
I probably both, you know, like for the ones that hit the pause button, like what is the good way to like reconnect with them? And the other question is like, how do you get like everyone now again to be ready to make the decisions, you know, like so that we kind of, you know, all like start moving ahead.
Well, in the things that I do, I don't know. I mean, I meet with clients in a very personal way, and we really build it all along the way. We've kept that going because we have a dialogue about lots of things. Mostly at this point, there are several houses and things. The architecture is what we're working on. There is a new project that is a decorative project, and they've just had started. And they don't want to come to the city and see things and start, but I feel comfortable with that. And I don't know, I mean, I think we all have to discover the way that it feels right. And I don't know, I wouldn't be pushing someone, but I think, you know, it just happens that at this point in time, and that's a lot of what I do, that developing the architecture of a house is really something we have been able to much more easily work on remotely, and its drawings, and it's the process of the work at the site and those are opening back up. But I'm always the biggest believer in keeping in touch. I love the phone. I use the phone all the time, encourage the staff to use the phone all the time and not email. And talking to someone is the best way, and making it personal and staying in touch. And so I always think it's the most effective thing.
Mary, what is your idea on like getting people, you know, invigorated again to like move along with you? You know, maybe that happened to you, maybe it didn't happen to you, but you know, we obviously try to help the community out there. Like, what would you advise one should do?
You know, I don't think you can force people that don't want people in your house. So that I think could be a really backfire. The people I'm working with on different phases have put some things on pause, but they're not intending to not do it. I think everybody's just kind of waiting. So I can't give a great answer for how to get people back to it. I have people that are chomping at the bit to actually just get going. And then I have people that we're doing a whole wing that they're not quite sure who they want in their house as of today. So I can't tell you what they're kind of telling me. And these are already existing jobs that are unfolding. So I don't know an answer to that. I'm proceeding as they are letting me. So I will try to work on the aspects that you can. You know, sometimes you can think ahead and work on aspects that are that you don't have to get them to decide on today, but you're actually still designing. Designing isn't something that necessarily has to be in person while you're doing it. I mean, like Thomas was saying, he works on a lot of the architecture. So if you're doing a lot of remodeling, a lot of these things are communication that they could see on the internet. So I don't know. I'm not having that problem. These people are just pausing a little, and no one said I don't want to go forward. Although I will say this, I have not been able to get back in anyone's house until I need to. What?
Mary,
Tell
I
me.
think that,
I'm not giving you an answer.
No, I think you are actually. I think you say, look, let your client tell you at which pace they want to run, you know, and you know, and what the only thing you can do is to ask them, you know. And Thomas, that's also what you said, you know, to take the phone in your hand and just reach out, but don't try to drive, you know, the process just because you feel anxious. It's your client who needs to drive the process. That's at least how I understood it.
I think there's always something in any project that's sort of a topic or a thing that you need to get to, and it's so hard to get to it. And now has been a perfect time to work on some of those individual things. I think that's a little bit what Mary is saying too. Like there's so many things that you can just
like
work on.
Mhm. Maggie, what do you think? Like, how do
They're
you
either-
try to? Oh,
Sorry.
sorry, Mary. You'd sometimes cut out, so I don't want to when I'm
I'm
assuming, you know.
sorry.
No, when I'm rudely interrupting
Sorry.
you, I think that I thought that you were done. I'm sorry.
I interrupted you.
No,
No,
I
no,
want
I was interrupting because I feel like a cocktail party. I don't know who's supposed to be talking, but I was like, and another thing. Sorry, I interrupted all of you actually, and so
Maggie,
that's exactly. I agree with what Thomas is saying. There's always something you postpone.
Maggie, how do you feel about
You
this? Like,
go.
how do you try to get? Yeah, Mary. By the way, I don't know whether you're in the Wi-Fi or whether you are out of the Wi-Fi. But if you're in Wi-Fi, maybe you can go out because the connection is really spotty. And you know, I don't know whether that's easy. I'm just, you know, maybe there's a way for you to see whether that's better. But while you do this, Maggie,
If
I
I'm
would love
not
to hear.
on the Wi-Fi, what am I on?
Maggie, maybe, you know, you tell us, how do you try to like keep, you know, the ones that have like been slowing down, how do you try to get them like, you know, like up to speed again?
About 6 weeks ago, we did have a couple of clients who we were ready to pull the trigger with, who just pressed pause for a minute. And we completely understood. So, you know, we told them that we would just keep in touch. And we have been doing that probably every couple of weeks, just saying like, you know, I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel and we can get the ball rolling again, hopefully early summer. For our larger construction projects, you know, those are all still full steam ahead. So just to reiterate what Mary and Thomas were saying, there was always something that we were going to be putting off for those things, which now we can kind of do a little bit ahead, which, you know, we were on top of doing the lighting schedules and the millwork schedules and the paint schedules before having to be asked for those things. So that's been kind of a plus. Also things that you just put off around an office because, you know, as we say, the cobbler's kids have no shoes. So we can kind of, you know, pick up on things that maybe we would not have addressed and we should have been, you know, just kind of staying organized in a way that keeps us ahead on projects. And, you know, also providing that kind of virtual interaction with our clients right now, or our contractors even. For the active projects that we have right now, our larger construction projects, we're keeping in touch on a weekly basis. So whether that's an email, a text, or a phone call, a lot of that is me and my assistant. We're just kind of keeping in touch with the contractors saying, what can we do to help this project? You know, what can our team provide for you to keep the ball rolling so that you're not waiting on us? And that's kind of been very helpful for us with our clients. And then just doing, you know, if we need to have a FaceTime meeting or a Zoom call with a client, we're providing that. But just even being able to drop ship those samples of tile work or, you know, a furniture finish through the mail is tremendous and being helpful on keeping the progress on a project. So, you know, we're just offering options right now and we're trying to stay on top of it and work a little bit along.
That's super. Honestly, that's super helpful. Thank you, Maggie. You know, talking about options, I would love to hear, Thomas, from you, maybe also like, how do you make sure that you don't run into supply shortages, you know, on furnitures, on fabrics, on lighting? Like, do you reselect now? Do you just tell your clients, listen, it takes half a year longer, or I can't tell you? Is it maybe even a tool for you to like push some sales now? Like, how do you feel about that?
I don't know. It's a tricky. I don't know. I mean, if it's something we really want and we love, we'll usually talk about it and certainly wait for it. There are it's not just about now, but in the past year or so, maybe even a little bit more, time and again, there have been things where things in the middle of waiting for them, even the 10 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever it may be, go out of stock and they're never going to come back. And I think there's been lots of manufacturing issues and stuff with factories and things, with textiles, all kinds of things, you know, not just fabrics, other things. And that's really disappointing. And then we do go through a process of reselecting. I mean, I don't know. Again, I think just having, I just always try so hard in all the relationships and the projects that I work on to make sure that the client and our office and me are just really connected in a you're in their home. It's about home, and it's very important that the relationship is very honest and straightforward, and if there needs to be a decision because something just isn't going to happen because it's unavailable or never coming available again, or we lose the stone or whatever it might be, that you do discuss those problems together. We really kind of get in our client's life in a way, and there are always challenges, and I think our job is to work on them together. And so
Mary, sorry, yeah, thank you, Thomas. Mary, how do you manage like supply chain shortages that might happen, how do you do that with workrooms? Like, how do you approach this whole thing?
Well, I don't know what the if is going to be because everybody's on pause from this. But I have this problem all the time anyway. I mean, we will, I do have this problem. We'll choose a fabric that we kind of went around and somehow we now lost most of the stock of it. Because sometimes I'm working on so many things and so many layers that I didn't base the room of one fabric, made sure that we got that one fabric. I might be scheming the whole room, and somehow some fabric came up that is either unavailable, it doesn't have enough. I mean, I'm actually used to that problem. I'm just used to having to reshop it. And to be honest, sometimes I might have to reshop it without even letting them know I'm reshopping it, because as a customer or as a client, if I can find something that is so almost the same, I sometimes do that. But I will, like, let's say it's a floral that I want the whole room around. It's something that is so integral to what the room is. I find that out right away, what that is, because I don't want to spend a bunch of time. I'm using fabric because I find fabric is the product that, for me, has the most problem with this kind of thing. I mean, if I'm having something made in furniture, I generally know what that is, and they can usually make it. I already know. Is this a 16-week thing or a 24-week thing? They're making it for me anyway. So fabric is a little different. As you know, you're a fabric house. You have big lots of it and it's kind of gone, and then you might not get it for a year, or you don't know. So I like to, if the room is essentially about some particular print, I find that out right away so that I know, because that is something that you can't replace easily. You cannot replace a print if that is what it's about. So I would go too far unless I know generally, and I will try to put that on hold. But I find that in general, I mean, I have this problem in general. If it's a solid, I can generally get around that. But
it's interesting.
I would start going forward. I will start with that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
As much as I could ever possibly think I need. I need it.
Yeah, sorry, Mary. Yeah, so I think it's super interesting also, how you approach, a solid versus a pattern. Maggie, how do you deal with that? Like, how do you think about shortages? Are you actively managing that with your clients?
We are right now, especially with some of our larger projects that are waiting on, maybe the lighting phase or the plumbing phase to be ordered. We're telling our companies, please let us know ASAP if something is out of stock or if there is no ETA in sight. If it's a fabulous item, my clients are willing to wait on those things. But again, like what Mary was saying, if it's a simple fixture, we can find a replacement pretty easily and offer something that is almost very close into what we originally chose. Right now, what we're seeing is some of our custom furniture workrooms they can't even provide an ETA on maybe an upholstery piece or something that we've had in the queue for a very long time. So what we're trying to do is offer items that are in stock, or that we know the ETA on the production won't be it would still fit into the correct time frame. And this also gives us the opportunity to support some of the small businesses that we love so much, right here in Northeast Georgia and the places that I trust all over the Southeast, to maybe provide us the images anyway for replacement for those things that could be an antique or something that maybe we wouldn't have considered 6 months ago. It's fun to support those places anyway. And if they have something readily available, my client's excited about it, then we can find a replacement really quickly. So that's kind of the route we're taking. And kind of same thing that Mary said too, if we're basing a whole room around a fabric that the client is in love with, I can usually check pretty quickly if it's in stock. And if it's not, then we need to, don't get our heart set on that quite so much. But some of our items that we would be ordering from overseas, we're just kind of preparing our clients anyway. Okay, if you love that wallpaper, we've had, we're not quite sure of the lead time, so maybe we find a substitute that you love just as much, just in case we can't go that route.
Yeah, I think it's very, very helpful also, Maggie, what you say. And I do think it's super relevant also to like how, things change and how you need to rethink your business like in the immediate future, because you need to be much more on your toes and you need to be much more like connecting with everything, because you can't rely on just like, the information that you got. You really need to be on top of it, and you really need to proactively communicate. So, if we look a little further out, and think about, long term, the industry will change once again. And I must believe, that the expectation of our clients will somehow change too. Thomas, if you think about this and if you zoom yourself into like 2021, how will you think, like, will clients' expectation change on interior designers?
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe we'll continue to do some of what we're learning about and doing right now. I mean, I think it's been really, we were already having video meetings with clients, and I think we're kind of perfecting that a little bit more. I think this time is good to be developing all of that, and that's one part of it. And maybe, we have a big office with lots of people in it and all, and I just think we've got to figure out over time how that works out. How we figure out the group of people together. And in the short term, it's going to be really about this idea maybe that there's almost shifts or something, but maybe there's more of the kind of video work that we're doing that we do with clients, and I think we all don't know yet, and we all don't know yet what clients will expect of a project. I kind of think that a lot will become focused on making the home really wonderful again in a real center, instead of just sort of getting it done and having it finished. I'm kind of hopeful and optimistic that, and I think that's the best thing to be about all of this right now, to be optimistic that, a lot of times I felt like before that maybe people were kind of distracted and not paying attention. And I actually think right now they're paying attention a great deal, and it matters a lot. And all the things I do, I've always felt that, the work that we do, it matters a lot. We really care about it. And I think, the best thing that can happen out of all of this is that is enhanced in the future.
Maggie, how do you feel about this? Do you share that optimism with Thomas? Do you think there's other things that might change in terms of also the expectation, not only on design, but also on like how to work with an interior designer?
I do. I feel like, we were also already doing so much virtually with our clients because of just geography and managing a project from afar. But we have 2 designers here in our office who do e-design already. So they offer packages that, you can have them design spaces for you virtually. And so that was already entailing a FaceTime or a Zoom meeting, a lot of phone calls, and digital presentations. So we have seen an influx in those requests in the past 6 weeks, almost on a daily basis, because I think, as Thomas was saying, home means more now than it has ever meant. And so many of us are right there within our four walls, and we're, loving being at home with our children. And I share the sentiment that, I will be sad when that part is over, just my time at home with our family and just kind of nurturing those, being around our children as much. And, homeschool, I can, take or leave, but being able, to be there with them and 3 meals a day, really, and having my husband at home this much too has just been wonderful. And my little nest, has just been great to be right there. And we're feeling that our clients are recognizing that too, and really want to make sure that their house is a reflection of them. So I definitely see the optimism, and I share that too, that we'll continue this way with a very conscientious, conscientious decisions on how we interact with our workrooms and our clients, and just managing those projects really more from afar and touching base even more, just because there's so many unknowns.
Mm. Mary, you've also experienced the crisis in 2009, and a lot has changed there too. How do you think, will the expectation of clients change, or maybe even how you work with clients, how you work with your team? What do you see like as the 1, 2, 3 big trends that you see on the horizon?
I was just reading the chat, the people that chat and write in, and they say they can't hear my voice. So for all the people that are writing in that they're distracted by me moving, I'm just trying to get a better connection. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it works now fine. It works now fine,
okay.
I think.
Well, there's some complainers on there, just saying. So, when you say trends going forward, did you mean design trends, or you mean trends in working?
In working. I mean in working.
Oh, without a doubt, I think people will find a way to be more digital, more video meetings, more just virtual. As much as that actually is kind of a turnoff, because it really ultimately is about the visceral experience of a room, its texture, its tonalities. Ultimately, when you install that, but the whole process, I think, to survive, even smaller people will learning to use anything digital for communication, and because who knows how long this can go on. So I think that is going to affect it. A trend in business, it'll probably really, the people that sell a product, that will probably go up, because people are also, I've done so much shopping with my business. I bought furniture I didn't need. I bought clothes I didn't need. And I have to say, people should think about, like, how are you selling things? Because people won't be out and about as much.
That's very interesting.
Which was really a trend already.
Yeah, it's kind of amplified, no?
Yes. I mean, it really is something was going in that direction already. If you're just speaking in terms of business, I'm sure some people don't like that, and that's not their thing. And I'm sure Thomas is like, wants to stab me, like, stop that. That is so against my textural need to really feel the space and experience it, which is true. It's true, but that doesn't mean that this isn't going to happen anyway. And people are in business. So I think the more virtually they can communicate and sell their product, I mean, people just the service of it.
Mary, thank you. Thank you. It's very interesting because also, we're experiencing also, for example, at Schumacher that, trends that we have seen before are just much accelerated now. For example, before people shopped online on our website, now many, many more people do that. And I think, Maggie, you said, you did e-design before. Now many, many more people do that. And Mary and Thomas, you both also said, like, you had remote projects, but now many, many more, people probably are going to ask for that. I have one question from an anonymous attendee. And Maggie, I would love to ask you the question maybe to start with. What advice do you have for a new interior design business that are trying to build clientele and market themselves this year? Because it's kind of really, obviously really unfortunate. Maybe not, but maybe it's not unfortunate timing, but you're ready, you go to start your own business, and then the pandemic comes. What would you suggest for a young business to do this year?
For us, we feel that so much of our business is encouraged by the images that we put out there, our website, our Instagram, our Pinterest, even on our Facebook. And so we get so many inquiries through those channels that I feel like if you're just starting, having beautiful photos of at least just, one project, if they're detail shots, can really get the ball rolling on the word of mouth process is that, people recommending you. And if you have a project that has been very close to your heart, say it's your own house or maybe a family member's house or a really good friend, and you have beautiful images of that, and that starts off, that is a great start to your business. And then having a website that is clear and concise and tells people what the process is like for you and what services you offer, because kind of the way that things are right now, so many people are at home. They're looking on their iPhones, they're looking on their iPads, they're researching designers, they're researching trends, they're looking for things that they're drawn to that way. So, the more you can do to put yourself out there through a digital portfolio, the better. Also, being a part of professional organizations, ASID, right here in Atlanta, we have ADAC, which is, a most wonderful resource for us. And there's our events there all the time that you can sign up for to meet other designers and meet other showrooms and meet other workrooms and beautiful resources. And those relationships are going to benefit you, for decades to come. So putting yourself out there in that respect, for sure. And then some of the small businesses, if you're shopping at modern furniture places in Atlanta or beautiful antique stores in Palm Beach, making a relationship with those small places too. And so they can recommend you, you were looking for someone new to help you with your house. Like, we have a great relationship with this designer, or people can make recommendations. Also, real estate agents, we have great relationships with lots of agents here in Northeast Georgia that we recommend each other. So that's been very beneficial for our business, and contractors are the same way. We have contractors that we love to work with because they get our vision. And so, if it's a local project, we're recommending each other, and those relationships are going to be fruitful for years to come too.
Thank you. I'm switching a little also into the Q&A session because we have 15 minutes left. So, Thomas, I'm going to ask you a different question. Do we have Sarah Eilers ask, once the stay-at-home order are lifted, do you think you will allow employees to still work at home?
I think it's got to be a mix of it for sure. And like I said, maybe because of some of the things we've been through doing this now, we've learned something from it. It'll be really effective. I mean, I think that's absolutely something that will be a component of it. And who knows, it's going to take time. It's just, and I think, like Maggie said, I think in the beginning about patience, I think it's going to take patience, and it can certainly be a part of it, for sure.
Mary, how do you feel about this? Because I do think, we haven't really talked about the team, team settings and so on. And I think it's a really, really important question. Do you think you're going to have your team work more from home, or do you think this is going to be a trend?
Well, they can't all work from home all the time, because I do need certain things exchanged, like real sample. I mean, I do need to see real physical samples of things. And like Thomas said, I think it will just be a mix and distancing. I mean, I'm kind of pro if you're, I go to the market. So if I go to the market, I'm very conscious of what I have on, a mask. I clean my hands after I touch everything. So I think it could be a combo of, this is my space, don't go in it, like keeping people's space sacrosanct and completely disinfected. I think that might end up being part of it. So I think it's a combo of that. You're going to have to, I mean, you can't go on with every single thing being virtual forever. There has to be a meeting of actual materials being exchanged at some point.
Yeah. Maybe next,
I think it's a combo.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I get, by the way, I have like 20 questions. So I get so many questions. I think we have like, all of us have like 15 seconds to answer the question. Otherwise I get so many complaints that I'm a slow question reader. Maggie, next question to you. You know, so COVID billing. Kathleen Glosser asks, with all the edits, stop, start, inability to visit showrooms, and so on and so forth, are any of you adding on for this work or taking it out of your gross revenue and eating a little profit? Like, do you charge your client for more time that it takes to like do all that stuff, or do you just like do it as you ever been doing it?
Well, it really just depends on kind of where the project is in the process of completion. So if we're starting out a project, maybe we started right after Christmas, then I think it's so paramount to ask a client, what are your expectations of us? Because this is what this is entailing right now in the current, you know, economic climate that we're in with a global health crisis. Like, this is taking a little bit more effort and a little bit more time on our part. We just want to make you aware of that. And this is what, you know, I can deliver to you, but I want you to be aware that this is the time involved. And, you know, if your clients are on retainer or they're, you know, prepared to already, you know, that you're billing them frequently anyway, I think that they're very understanding of that, because at the end of the day, we want the job done well. If it's someone that is brand new, you know, maybe we just hit the pause button and say, like, let's let the dust simmer a little bit and kind of revisit on how we can do this efficiently for you. Especially for e-design, you know, that's spending a lot more time right now with our virtual design. It's a lot more time on the phone than we're used to. So, you know, I still love seeing people in person. I love seeing my clients. I love visiting my showrooms. I love visiting my resources in person. But, you know, instead of being in the car as much or in person, it's spending more time kind of combing through images and doing measurements on your space plans that maybe is a little different. So I think it's just kind of making sure that your clients, that you're all on the same page with that. And if it does take a little bit more time, maybe just prepare them.
And how would you go about reselecting? Like, if you reselect fabrics, like, I don't know, Thomas, I don't know whether you've experienced that, but like, do you charge for that? Do you like, how do you deal with all of that?
I mean, we're doing what needs to be done, you know, and I feel like we're very fair about billing. And when I feel like it's inappropriate, we cut back on things. I look at every bill every month and kind of assess those things. But I think that, I don't know, I mean, I feel like on the other side of this, even more than like what's available, I think there's things like, I'm always saying that there'll come a day that like that great wallpaper hanger just won't be available. Or, you know, I think maybe there may be a lot of things that just kind of disappear. Restaurants that we love, things that are available, workrooms, all kinds of things that just didn't manage to make its way through. And that's very sad. And I think that maybe there'll be a thing, and this is sort of an optimistic view on things that could be kind of bad, but like I remember distinctly when, like, say 9/11 and how things kind of changed, or the sort of recession, the big recession. There was this weird twist in clients and all, where all of a sudden it was kind of the contractors and all of us were sort of, everyone expected a deal, or they wanted to negotiate about everything. And there was this negativity that came out of it. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of things have been lost through the last 10 years or so too. A lot of things that we all used to rely on and count on a lot. And I don't know, maybe things will be, I want to believe that things will be different, and that people in caring more about home, or maybe actually because there's less that's available, less good designers, less good work, less the best wallpaper hanger, that it will be respected again in a different way, that like what we do is important and professional, and the workrooms and the skills of people are important, and that it I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit of a dreamer and a schemer in my life and all the things that I do, and I want to believe that on the other side of this, even because of scarcity or things changing, that what's good will be appreciated. And the most important thing we can all do is do our best work. And I don't want to stop and be worried about someone not wanting to pay me because of some small, like when a client wants to be really difficult, I do this thing that one friend told me once a long time ago: when things get bad, the best advice is quietly and gently step away. And I do that. If clients want to misbehave and be terrible to us about every little thing, I just step back. It's like, if you want what good things we do, let us do them for you. And I want to be respected. And I want to respect all the people that we work with, and show clients the way to these good people. And I have a feeling that maybe this time, in this difficult time, that maybe clients are going to respect what's available, that's good and quality, and I don't know. I want to believe that, and I will.
Thomas, I join you. I think you said it very wonderfully, and I think I do believe the same, and I also want to believe that too. But in combination with all of that, the importance of home, and how home is just like less a representational thing, but it's more like something that is you and that represents who you are, and so on. With that, do you think, Mary, that Instagram and websites and Pinterest is going to be more important or less important for inspiration, and also for interior designers to broadcast their work?
Well, it's already very important, actually. I mean, I've seen people build entire careers on Instagram, even by presenting work that isn't necessarily theirs, but an image of what they want to project. And then they end up getting jobs that are like that. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, so that's not how that worked for me. So I'm not really of that generation, but I think it will be more and grow. It's just the way it's going. It's not necessarily what I do, but I see people, like, it's completely built businesses. So yes, and more is what I see. That
Meg, yeah, no, I think that's interesting.
That's all,
Maggie, no, I think, like, Maggie, do you see that the same way like Mary? Like, do you think like Instagram is not just like a hype now, and everybody hangs out on like Instagram Live and like going through the feed and like liking everything? Do you think this is an integral part of how to promote your own business in the future? And do you agree with Mary that it's actually already there?
Absolutely. I also feel like it's a great way to engage. I think you can have a really distinct voice, and if you are, if you can communicate back and forth with your followers or your, potential clients, then those are all positives. And you have control of kind of what's put out there with your name on it. I think that I agree that it has kind of changed over the years. But we're finding right now the current, how that works for us right now is we may have a potential, you know, a client that reaches out to us through Instagram, or, you know, finds us because they found a photo that they liked that someone had put about us on Pinterest. So right now, those are all positives. But I do think more people are spending time at home and kind of gaining their inspiration that way, because they just, you know, maybe they're not able to meet with a potential designer face to face right now. So, you know, I think that those are all positives. And I do think it is just such a great platform for putting, you know, out there what you can control it.
Yeah, thank you, Maggie.
I had
Thomas,
one more point.
Oh, yes, please, Mary, go ahead.
I just had one thing that I meant to say when I was talking about it before. Although I said it's important, I don't necessarily think it's always authentic. And there's nothing I can do about it. I think people can represent an image that isn't really theirs, that isn't really their work, and actually end up with a legitimate career from it. So sometimes I'm kind of anti the whole direction that this took, because I don't necessarily think it's that authentic. Just wanted to put that out there for all the other design people that were like, that's not really designing and blah, blah, blah. But it is, to answer your question, yes. I think it will just continue and grow and grow and become something else. It'll be like Instagram, Zoom. There'll be some new thing that is effective and important.
Thank you. Maybe, you know, looking at the time, maybe like one last question, Thomas, that I want to ask you, because you had this great advice before about, you know, I quietly step away. That is more difficult for Richard, who asks, you know, how do you deal with a client that owes you money but doesn't want to pay their bills in full, trying to negotiate their balances due now that we are in an emergency situation? Like, how would you deal with that? You know, walking away would be costly.
I mean, it's very hard, and sometimes it's been the case. And, you know, and I've also been in a position of fighting for money too. I mean, I've had one time many years ago, had a horrible thing where I really was actually suing someone. And then like on the last day, the court day, they finally paid this enormous amount of money. It was very hard and it was really tricky. I think, you know, I kind of watch it really carefully all along to like, and we actually had in the past year a bad situation with a client where something like this happened, and it was, you know, it's painful, but at the same time, bad and painful things, whether it's clients and money, and I absolutely respect that maybe this money is desperately needed right now, and how do you step away from it? But like, bad situations just continue to be bad situations, whether it's a personal relationship or a client relationship or a contract relationship. It's like, when you know, and look, again, I have fought for money too, and I've begged. I beg for clients to like things I want them to do, and so I will fight, but like, I think there comes a time sometimes that you have to. My groovy chiropractor told me one time, and I love this advice, and think about it: get rid of the 5 worst people in your life and your life will change. If you really think about that, like, if there's some way that you could step away from, it could be small things, it could be big things, but if they really annoy you, but if you can find ways to just, more focus on what's positive and good and what client thing is potentially working, and you can be in the rabbit hole of working and fighting with someone who's terrible and is going to continue to be terrible. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but sometimes it's worth it to step away.
I love that that you end the last question with an advice, and I would love to take that to Maggie and to Mary. No, but Maggie, maybe with you next, what is your advice, for all of us out here owning, small businesses, not clear how things are going, maybe I have 3 projects going, but, new projects are not coming in as I wish. What is your advice because I found that very inspirational what Thomas just said. So I would love to hear you and Mary too on advice.
You know, I don't know if it's quite so much advice, or maybe it's just something that we can look back on in maybe 6 or 8 months. But I think that the people who are going to support you and the people that are going to make you continue to look good are really going to shine right now. And the people that are going to accommodate you and your business are going to be the ones that you need to pay attention to, because who is kind of staying strong right now really matters. And I feel like we're seeing that, you know, in our projects between our contractors and our fabric companies and our furniture too, that we're just, we're all being patient with each other and giving each other the grace that I think that we all deserve. And it's just going to be a growing process for all of us. But I think it's also a time to really hone in on your own strengths and anticipate kind of how you can keep your business running very smoothly. And I feel really lucky that we have such a great team and we have wonderful resources that are just being rock stars to us right now. So I just, I hope that we can continue to give each other that kind of grace in the next, you know, year as we kind of all figure this out together.
Thank you. Mary, what's your advice? What's, you know, to people out there owning small businesses and we all don't know what's going to happen?
Gosh, well, I love Thomas's groovy chiropractors advice.
Get those 5 people.
Just get rid of the 5 worst people. I'm thinking right now.
Think about it.
Who are the 5 worst? I couldn't even hear you guys after he said that. I was like, huh, 5 worst. I'm thinking, oh, yeah, they bug me. So I'm on that. So I'm just going to repeat that. But by the same token, something Thomas said, but I don't know if this is going to help you right now, people with small businesses, but I'll say it anyway. Because sometimes you do have to do things to pay the bills you don't want to do. But my advice was that person that isn't going to pay you, you probably could tell that that's who they were in the beginning of the meetings. Generally people like that, they show themselves as difficult, or you can tell they kind of don't want to pay you from the beginning. I mean, they're sort of fighting you on industry standards. You can always sort of tell from the beginning that you're getting into something that probably will be, you'll look back. So pay attention to how you set that up in the beginning and what you agreed to, because you probably saw that they were that person, that this relationship was kind of like that. So sometimes not, but what you get in the beginning is usually what you're going to get. They will do that through the entire job. So how is that helping people? Telling them don't take the job when they can't afford it? I don't know. It's not. But so my advice
smart,
for
Mary.
this period of time, just take the job. Yes. Just take the job, even if they're bad. See if it works out.
No, but I think it's very smart. And I mean, I think,
See what I'm saying?
yeah, no, I think it's really smart. And I do think, you know, I mean, I think we've all been there, you know, where we had a difficult situation. We said like, you know, we knew it before, but we didn't trust our gut. So I think, thank you very much for the advice of the 3 of you. That's super helpful. I love the last 66 minutes, and thank you very much. For everyone out there, you know, we got a lot of questions in terms of, you know, billing, how to bill, how to, you know, charge and so on. So we spoke about that last webinar. We have the YouTube links online. You're going to get the link for today automatically. And with that link, you're going to see the webinars from the last time. So please do watch them. And I also got a lot of questions on virtual consulting, e-design, and so on. So currently we have that planned for May 21st, where I'm going to speak with interior designers that do that actively. So zoom in for that one too, just because I got so many questions about that I kind of, you know, jumped over as I was reading through the Q&A. Thomas, Mary, Maggie, this was fabulous. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
so much.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Thomas.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Maggie.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.